Hi, you are in the ladies' room with Dr. Donica, the only public ladies' room you can enter anytime without ever waiting online. I'm your host, Dr. Donica Moore. We'll be having real conversations with real women about really intimate issues. They may be embarrassing, sad, or funny, but they will always be interesting and informative. You know, like the best conversations you've had in ladies' rooms with your best friends, or total strangers and a physician. Please join us.
Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of In the Ladies' Room with Dr. Donica. Now, in case any of you have ever wondered if LinkedIn actually works, the answer is yes. I learned about today's guest through a friend's LinkedIn post about how Suzanne Sinatra was named to the Forbes 1000 list, which recognizes bold and inspiring entrepreneurs on their way to breakthrough success. So of course I had to click on that. That was clickbait for me. And she is well on her way with the launch of her company called Private Packs. So of course I immediately invited her to join us in the ladies' room. As you can imagine, Private Packs is a consumer products company that makes wearable, reusable, hot and cold packs to relieve pain, swelling, and discomfort in the lady parts, not just when you're home, but also on the go. Suzanne is a pioneer in the SexTech and FemTech spaces. In addition to making the Forbes 1000 list, she's been honored by Yotpo's 2020 Amazing Women in E-Commerce and many, many other things. Through her exciting entrepreneurial journey, Suzanne was also forced to embark on a journey that nobody really wants, and that's battling breast cancer. She now describes herself as a proud breast cancer survivor who's committed to helping other women by sharing her story to raise awareness about women's health and sexual wellness. Now, she's originally from Toronto, and she served in the Royal Canadian Armed Forces, where she was one of only 3 women in Canada selected for a highly competitive Aircrew Search and Survival course. She is a skilled markswoman and has many, many other hidden talents that we're going to find out all about. Suzanne, welcome to the ladies' room, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
It is
I'm honored to be here.
Oh, it is my pleasure.
Yeah.
So, we're taping this, of course, we're still in the midst of the pandemic. And so I do like to start by asking all of our guests, how's your pandemic going? I think you've been a little busier than most of us.
I've been busier than most. I actually entered into the pandemic right off of breast cancer treatment. So the pandemic gave me a time to rest my body because I live in New York City and I had to take care of myself during treatment. So I was going up and down the subway train to chemo. I was in surgery, just rushing around all throughout treatment. So I really welcomed the pandemic.
Mm-hmm. And that happened after you were already finished with your treatment, but you were still considered high risk for the pandemic.
Yes, I was. So the pandemic also, I had to stay away from everyone because I have a compromised immune system. So that even actually I use it as an excuse to stay away from people.
I know, I love that. My daughter actually did a YouTube series, which I highly recommend to everybody. You can go to Jana Bernard's YouTube channel, and it was introverts versus extroverts during the pandemic. And how the introvert was just so happy to have all these weddings being canceled.
Yes.
Canceled.
It was great. Funerals were being canceled. Well, not that funerals
was not
you
great.
have to schedule, but it was really great because everything could be done via Zoom and I didn't have to leave home. Mm-hmm. And that also shifted the way we operate in business.
Yes. And it also showed us how much of what we do does not really need to be in person. I was a real road warrior in business prior to 9/11. And I remember literally on September 12th, sitting down with my CV and a red pen and crossing out all of the things I was no longer going to participate in. Because I just said, I just don't want to travel that much anymore. Zoom was not a thing in 2001. Right. I've actually done more speaking engagements since the pandemic because of Zoom. I can do several in one day without having to worry about getting from one place to another.
Right. And what's another thing for us, especially us female founders, and especially in the women health space, we don't have to take meetings with investors and potentially be embarrassed by them in the meeting. Because I've had an investor say to me, well, Suzanne, you have to show me how our private pack is used. And I'm like, okay, dude, I didn't wake up yesterday. I know how to do this. So what I did, I actually exhibited the use of private packs, but I had leggings on. And I'm like, I'm not
Actually-
showing you my bare body.
You actually demonstrate it on your own body.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
let me give you a gynecologist trick. What we do when we're demonstrating things is we use our fist as to represent the different body parts the different lady parts that we need to use. So first of all, the fist can be a uterus, and this can be, the hole can be the os or the cervical os. But it can also, if I open my fist a little bit, that can be a vagina. And the external parts can be the vulva. And actually, this is my pet peeve in women's health. And I just have to take a moment to vent. My pet peeve is when women or men use the term vagina to refer to all the lady parts downstairs.
Right.
So I hope you use your investor meetings to communicate that this is for the vulva, not for the vagina.
I don't. I don't, because it's already a battle for us to get money from them. So listen, it's about us picking our battles, and that's the one I don't pick until they make an investment, and then I can educate them on the reproductive organs.
Excellent. Or they could just listen to this podcast. So tell me, when did you start your company?
So I started the company in 2014 after Brazilian wax, which is a removal of all the pubic hair down there, left me with second-degree burns.
Aye.
The wax was way too hot.
Was that your first one?
No, that was a couple times I had done. It was like my regular routine. I liked the feeling of being bare down there. That was my personal choice. And I'll tell you, I haven't done them again afterward.
I don't blame you.
Yeah. But you know what? It was a simple accident, but I noticed that wax had evolved over time. They've gone from being just these soft wax that we're all used to now to hard wax, sugaring. Some of them have numbing oil or essential oils, but there's been no evolution in pain relief for the private body parts for women and men as well.
So this gave you the brainstorm. What were you doing professionally at the time in 2014?
I was working on Wall Street. So this is not my scope, my experience at all. I work in more marketing departments at Wall Street firms. I've worked at Deutsche Bank, Credit Suisse First Boston. I've worked at UBS, and I've even worked for the mayor of New York when it was Mayor Bloomberg. And I've also worked for the Wall Street Journal. So pretty top echelon brands in New York City, and no regard to my health because I didn't see my gynecologist often. If nothing was broken, I didn't need to go in and fix it, because when you have to go see a doctor, that's like a 3-hour wait. And no one has time to be away from the office for 3 hours unless they're in pain. So fast forward, at the time they were doing base mark mammograms. So I got that done at 35. And then I went in for a follow-up, and they said that they saw something on my mammogram. And I decided at the time to say to myself, I'm busy building a startup. I don't have cancer. So fast forward to 2017, I was working at Deutsche Bank, and this guy broke up with me over the phone, so over text. And he said, Suzanne, because you're a Scorpio and I'm Gemini, it's not in the stars. So I crossed my arm.
First time I ever heard that.
Listen.
Sounds like you dodged a bullet. I'm guessing that's not his only problem.
It's not, but he actually saved my life, because when I crossed my arms and my right palm scooted over my left breast, I'm like, uh-oh, what is that? So I literally, it was the only breakup I've ever had that I didn't think about afterward.
Oh my God.
Because that happened on a Monday evening. Saturday, I went to the gynecologist. They called for a biopsy, and that's how I found out I had breast cancer.
Wow. And you were how old at the time?
I was 44 at the time.
Wow.
Yeah, it was progressive too.
Okay. And so what stage was it, if do you mind?
I was stage 2, and like by October, I had went up a stage.
Oh, wow.
But what was very disheartening is that I had a medical team. And usually, unfortunately, when you have cancer, you have like a radiologist, an oncologist surgeon, like a whole team of doctors. And no one told me that because my cancer was estrogen fed, that with early onset menopause, I was going to be feeling pain in my vagina. Okay, I just thought it was my breast.
So stop for a second.
Got it.
And connect the dots for people about how your breast cancer treatment led to early onset menopause.
Because my cancer was being fed by my estrogen, that it measures a lot and it keeps control a lot. It's not just making sure you get wet when you're about to orgasm. It regulates your temperature, it regulates your hormones, it strengthens your bones. So they did not tell me that it was going to inhibit my moisture down there.
So when we're talking about we're talking about the treatment that you got for your breast
treatment, the chemotherapy drugs was going to stop the estrogen and induce me into menopause because we needed to stop feeding the cancer. Mm-hmm. Well, when you're told that, you're like, hell yeah, stop it. I don't want to die.
Right.
So one day on
and in fairness to oncologists, they're focused on fighting the cancer.
Yes.
They usually leave that to your gynecologist to explain, okay, here are the consequences of, and this is not just for women who have chemotherapy. Radiation can also cause this.
Yes.
There's many unknown causes of what we call premature menopause, is menopause for any reason before the age of 40. But this also happens with good old-fashioned regular menopause. It's just with good old-fashioned regular menopause, it doesn't happen as fast.
Right.
It doesn't.
And you transition into it, not September 11th, you're going into menopause and that's it.
I call that menostop as opposed to menopause.
Okay. And that's a really great way of saying it, because also, again, because it was breast cancer, nothing was wrong with my vagina. I did not add a gynecologist to my team, and they did not tell me that I should have.
Yeah.
And by the time I saw a gynecologist, which was this year, remember, I got treatment in 2017. I didn't know that she would be so badly affected down there. And that's what made me become just not the private practice inventor, but actually a customer.
Yeah.
Because using it hot, because we're both hot and cold, with, say, coconut oil, keeps her supple down there, keeps her moisturized. Mm-hmm. And then I use a cold if I ever have sex, whenever that is. It reduces the swelling and inflammation, because it does hurt when I get penetrative sex.
Okay. And so did you talk to your gynecologist about other treatment options that you can use to treat your vaginal symptoms?
Yes, but it's very limited, because many of the prescription strength medicine to help with the vaginal dryness does have estrogen in it, and I am not allowed to have estrogen.
Okay. So you and I are going to have a conversation offline, because there is a treatment that women can use who've had breast cancer. And of course, I, on this podcast, never make recommendations directly, for anybody. This is for medical information and background therapy. But I do want to emphasize that any women who are having vaginal dryness, whether it's related to menopause, menostop, some mystery combination, if they have painful sex, please talk to your gynecologist. And then I do need to do a public service announcement, because I can just hear all my gynecologist friends listening to this and saying, Danica, make sure you tell them this is why you need to see your gynecologist, or this is one reason you need to see your gynecologist every year. That's why we call it the annual exam. You may not know why you need to see the gynecologist, because you may not know that this is something your gynecologist can help you with, but it's very important to have a routine physical and conversation with your gynecologist.
Now, what swayed me from seeing my gynecologist every year was that my insurance said that I'm to get a pap smear every 2 years. I don't need a pap smear every year. And that's disheartening, because I need to get my eyes checked every year. Well, I would think my vagina is more important than my eyes, my vulva, my rectal area, my perineum. But you're the doctor, you tell us.
So thanks to the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare, insurance is now required to cover an annual physical exam with your gynecologist every year. Whether or not your insurance covers your pap smear is a different story. But this gives me a chance to give another public service announcement to everyone. Just because your insurance company doesn't say they're going to pay for it, doesn't mean you can't have it. it then means you and your doctor have to then negotiate with them about if they're going to pay for it. And a pap smear, last time I checked, the pap smear itself, not the GYN visit, the pap smear itself, just the test, is less than $20. Now, for some women, that is prohibitive. And for those women, I highly, 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 highly recommend going to some place like Planned Parenthood, where there is a sliding fee scale. And if you can't afford it, it is covered thanks to the benevolence of, so many donors. People think of Planned Parenthood and they think about just reproductive choice issues. That is not what Planned Parenthood is. Planned Parenthood is healthcare for women and reproductive healthcare for women and men. So
that's good to know. I didn't know men go there.
And other organizations like the YWCA of America also have special programs for breast and cervical exam coverage. So very important to find out what the resources are in your own community. So
that's what makes this that's what makes this podcast so good, because a lot of doctors don't have the time to spend with you. So it really takes us to be the initiator to find out this education around our reproductive health.
Yeah, especially
and our sexual health.
If you don't have the time or wherewithal to go, and especially look at your situation. You were working for a top international company. I presume you had excellent insurance.
I did.
You thought that because they weren't covering your pap smear, that means they didn't cover the annual visit. So,
right.
And that is an easy misunderstanding.
Right.
But it's still a misunderstanding.
And a misunderstanding that I didn't know that I needed it. So it was for me to say, oh, I just can't take the insurance company's word verbatim. I'm in charge of my health. What is the right info? Which is what makes your podcast so great.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And that is what we try to do, is we try to share information so that all the women listening can benefit from everyone else's mistakes or everyone else's learnings or everybody else's information. Sort of share. That's how women share information. And what I try to do is give women the background information to make their doctor's visits much more effective. Now, that's also another kind of good thing that happened with the pandemic, is now telemedicine is much more readily available. And telemedicine appointments, so you don't actually have to travel to the doctor, sit in the waiting room, whatever, you have your telemedicine appointment. Many appointments don't require a physical exam. It's not like they're going to say, okay, aim your computer at your cooch. That's not how telemedicine works. But especially visits regarding menopause and menopausal therapy, many times that's a conversation, and that's very important. So now back to private packs.
Yes.
So how do they work? And I'm not going to ask you to put your computer camera down there and show me.
No, so these are private packs. They're both hot and cold. They are reusable up to 200 times and they curve with the body. So you can either put it in the freezer for 2 hours or the microwave for 10 seconds. And really what we do is we just provide targeted relief on the vulva, which are the external lips right before you get inside the vagina, the vaginal canal. You put it into this sleeve that is made from tree pulp.
Okay.
And you just put it in the middle of your underwear, all natural, organic. And I made it white. So if a woman has a discharge or any liquid, she wants to take a photo of it, it won't interfere with the image when she wants to email it to her doctor.
Excellent.
So it just sits right in the middle of the underwear and it can be applied right to the vulva.
Excellent.
Yes.
And so you can just go about your day.
You could just go about your day because it is coreless. If you want to reuse it, you take it out of the sleeve, rinse it with some, dish soap, dry it and put it back in the freezer, or put it in the microwave for another 10 seconds.
And the sleeve is machine washable.
It's machine washable. So if you're washing the kids' clothes, you just toss it in there and you hang it up to dry. It is very soft. That's why we want people to hang dry it, not put it in the tumble dry.
Got it.
Because we want it to last long. I don't want women to be like, oh, I spent $20 and I had to go buy a new one. No. It should be like 25 cents a day. Because I didn't want women to go to the pharmacy line and have people being intrusive in their basket or having to go to the pharmacist and say, hey, I need another private pack. What aisle is it in? Like, no, you buy it once, you go home and you do what you need to do, which is to comfort and ease and relax.
Right.
That's it.
So speaking of the pharmacy, I understand you have a big announcement.
Yes, we are now going to be in 500 CVSs across the country.
That is incredible.
It's incredible. And what means so much to me is that CVS recognizes that women's health is really important and our sexual wellness is at the forefront of their mind as well. And they really want to offer the community solutions to help us live better lives and live our best life.
Yeah,
and the innovation team at CVS is amazing.
So that means you could order it online from CVS.
You could order it online, or most likely you'll be able to go in stores because we are the first brand in this new initiative that they're doing.
That's excellent.
Yes.
So when did you actually launch the product? What was your first date that this product was available for sale?
So we opened up our pre-orders in May, but we actually got our order in January because during the COVID, we lost our manufacturer and I had to find a new factory. And because of COVID, everything was delayed from every which part of the world. Like you couldn't find fabric, you couldn't find any disposable fabric. Also for our disposable sleeves that are coming up because they were being used for PE materials like masks and clothing for doctors. So because of the whole logistics chain and materials chain falling apart, everything got delayed. So we officially opened in January of this year. And then we had a call with CVS in February and we just got on their shelves and they're expanding us.
That is awesome. That is really awesome. Now let's switch gears a little bit and go from, how women get the product to what they use it for. So you've talked about any pain or discomfort. You gave the example of your inspiration coming from a botched Brazilian wax. And I'm a little bit older than you, like a lot. And I was trying, in my day, Brazilian waxes were not a thing. I actually meant to try to Google it, and I didn't get to do this, to find out when did Brazilian waxes become a thing in the United States?
I want to say definitely in the 90s. I definitely know the popularization from this salon here in New York called the J Sisters. They popularized it with the healthy body after we went through the grunge phase of the skinny Kate Moss model. Once we had the pendulum swing back to healthy bodies, that's when being bare down there was the in thing. And I actually think now with the new generation, the fabulous Gen Zers, they're like, we don't care. We're going to be hairy and we're going to embrace it. And actually Brazilian waxes are now on the decline.
Good. Because I was thinking, based on your story, I was thinking that, we should probably be telling women who are in menopause to avoid that, because when you go through menopause, your skin down there thins.
Very much
becomes
so,
much more what we call friable, which means it's much easier to injure the skin down there as well as inside, which is what causes vaginal dryness, not just the lack of lubrication, but also the skin thinning. But tell us about what conditions, the wide range of conditions women would have that would benefit them to use private packs.
Well, definitely after penetrative sex. If someone is having pain from saddle numbness, so if you're an equestrian or you're a cyclist or a spinner.
Well, from painful penetrative sex, we also call that being saddle sore. That's
right, saddle sore. And for penetrative sex being painful, I believe it's called dyspareunia. Also vaginismus, vulvodynia. And, really anytime that the vulva is swelling or inflamed, even itchy from
yeast infections, bacterial vaginosis.
Yes, any type of fungal infection or bacterial infections, such as herpes, that have painful blisters that open up sometimes, and maybe other blisters such as genital warts and Bartholomew cysts. Before it's launched, you can use private packs hot to soften the skin, as well as you can reduce the swelling down there after laser hair removal, electrolysis. You can even use a cold to numb the area before you get laser treatment or electrolysis
or waxing.
And then also after surgery such as labiaplasties and vagioplasties. Now, if the skin is cut, that should be talked about with your doctor, because if you use cold on a new incision, it stops the blood flow, but you need the blood to flow to heal the cut. So, or the incision. So definitely talk to your doctor if you're having like major surgery on what temperature to apply. Most likely they're going to say, wait a few days, come back and see me. And then if there's more pain, then we can apply a hot or cold compress.
Yeah, I'm also thinking that this might be useful for women after having a baby.
Yes, so I've had some
Particularly
women
women who've had an episiotomy.
An episiotomy, which is the tear, the vaginal tear, or episiotomy, which is the tearing from 1st degree to 4th degree from the vaginal opening to the anus. Or women have bodice when they have hamburger crotch or lightning crotch.
I've never heard of that.
Yes, so it's a pain. I think it's hamburger crotch, and I definitely know it's called lightning crotch, and it's pain in the 4th trimester before the baby's born.
But that's the
and
third
there's just
before the baby's born is the
the 3rd trimester. The 3rd trimester, yes.
The only time we use the term 4th trimester is some doctors will say that to mean the postpartum period, which is the first 3 months after having a baby. I also wonder if this might be more useful further south, if for women who have hemorrhoids or other anal conditions.
Yes, because it runs from the clitoris to the anus, and we put these wings in here, like these seams, so it can get right up in there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very clever. So
and it's really because it all came from my pain. Really did. So thankfully I've had a lot of pain down there.
So there was some famous actress, I don't know if it was Meryl Streep, I'm not gonna say who said it, but who advised in her Oscar speech, said, use your pain to create art. And what you've done is use your pain to create a really painful, a really practical solution. But I do want to make clear, you are not recommending this product to quote unquote treat any of these conditions. This is in addition to any treatment that your doctor may recommend.
Yes.
To provide symptomatic relief.
Yes. It's really important that either you have a handle on your self-care down there, like you know what's working. Like if you're already using frozen peas, you know you can use a private pack, because you know cold treatment does reduce the inflammation if you're in pain from a waxing or vulvodynia, or you don't even know because you were either undiagnosed or misdiagnosed by your doctor.
Right. And we certainly every doctor can tell you stories, and every woman doctor can tell you stories themselves of having used your hairdryer on the cold setting just from having the pain and discomfort of a yeast infection.
Right.
You know, which can be very discomforting. But I want everybody to know, if you have a discharge or if you have a medical problem, this can help with your symptoms, but you still have to see your doctor.
Yes, we definitely see private packs as a symptom management tool.
I love the fact that you talk about making the sleeve white, so any discharge could easily be detected, especially getting to things that women may not know. I want to do another public service announcement. For any woman who has gone through menopause for any reason, if you have any bloody discharge for any reason, any length of time, any circumstances, that means, call 1-800-gynecologist as soon as possible. Get to see your gynecologist. Do not, stop and, procrastinate. So any bloody discharge, your doctor needs to know about that right away.
Right. And it's funny because I've had some males and also some women say, you know what, Suzanne, you should make the sleeve black or make it a fashionable pattern. And I'm like, but that's not useful. No doctor can tell if a discharge is gray, yellow, or green if there's a zebra print. That's too hard to tell. Like there has to be some practicality to the product because it is a medical device. We are a class 1 FDA registered product. And the customer may not know that yet, what is going to be anticipated, but it's my responsibility as a CEO and founder to anticipate every vulva owner's needs when using this product.
Absolutely. And explain to people what it means when you say that the product is class 1 FDA registered.
So
What class
because
1 means
that it's topical, we do not go inside of the body, just like Band-Aid. So if something happens to someone with this product, they can call the FDA and say, hey, I got too much of a microwave burn. The FDA is gonna be like, oh, okay, well, they're legally allowed to operate in the United States and sell products to Americans because they're registered with us. They provide, we're regulated by the FDA.
right. But it also means you did not have to go through any clinical trials.
Class 1 means you don't have to go through clinical trials. I'm not required to do pre-market notification, which means I don't have to tell them ahead of time, I got this product tested in a clinician setting by 50 women to say that it relieves or it's healing. I do not determine the outcome.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So that's what being a class 1 device is with the FDA. And I honestly, if I'm having something between my legs, I'd want to have it registered with the FDA. Because more safety and more transparency is what we want as new consumers in 2021. The old days of trusting what their brand says are gone now.
Right.
We're much more highly
Obviously,
educated.
it's still
now.
extremely important for you to build a brand that women trust. One of my favorite quotes, again, I don't remember who originally said this, so I apologize to whoever's listening who said, hey, I said that first, is that women don't buy brands, they join them.
Yes.
And
it's very true.
Love that. Anyway, I could talk to you about this all day. I think this is brilliant. I don't currently, I know everybody wants to know that I don't currently have a problem with my lady parts, but I think what I would like to do is keep this at home in my, in my linen closet, just in case, because when it has happened, that can be very distressing and very uncomfortable.
Yeah, and a lot of women that have bought us ahead of their vaginal births that have ended up being emergency C-sections, I've gotten messages like, Suzanne, what should I do with this now? And I'm like, re-gift it. Give it to another woman that may want it.
Or keep it in your linen. Yeah. There's no expiration date, is there?
There's not, but it's best stored in the fridge because it is made with 80% water.
Got it.
Because I want to keep it as natural and as food grade as possible.
Awesome. Yeah. Anyway, I could talk to you about this all day. I think I love it anytime there are women entrepreneurs who are, creating new products for women's health. Anytime we have new products to treat old problems, it's a great thing. It helps doctors sleep better at night. Yes. We get fewer emergency phone calls. But it also helps, women better able to care for themselves, which is, really so important. But you want to care for yourself, and at the same time, you want to have a good relationship with your gynecologist or your primary care physician, as your trusted health partners. But before I let you go, I have to ask you to share with me, what was your most unique, interesting, or memorable experience that you ever had in a ladies' room?
Definitely the first time I got my period. I didn't have a quarter. It was in school. And I didn't know how to I didn't know why I was bleeding because no one had told me. I got it at 12. My mom didn't prepare me. And I didn't know how to stop it. And another teenager had to tell me what the pad was for and what the tampon is for. And I'm like, I'm not inserting anything into me. So I'll go with the tab. And she was really nice to me. So my first ladies' room experience was kindness.
That is wonderful. That is a wonderful story. I actually, when I was in medical school, I had to teach a classmate of mine, so by this time we were in our 20s. She had never used a tampon because, her mother told her that, you shouldn't use tampons.
Yep.
And you know how I was explaining to you in the beginning about using my fist as a model? That was the very first time I used my fist as a model to show her how to insert a tampon into my fist. So she could go into the bathroom and practice it. But anyway,
that's awesome.
Thank you so much for coming. I wish you tremendous, tremendous success with the private packs. I love the name.
Thank you. Thank you.
And tell people where they can go to get more information.
Yes, you can visit our website at www.privatepacks.com.
Great. Good luck. Continued success. Keep us posted.
Will do. Thank
Stay
you so
well.
much.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
That's all we have time for today. But let's keep the conversation going on Twitter or Facebook at Dr. Donica. And please join us next week for another episode of In the Ladies' Room with Dr. Donica. Real conversations with real women about really intimate topics.